conduct this web development session. First of all, let me give you a little bit intro about myself. I am Abhishek from TEIT. I am a web development lead at DYPCOE. I have been working with web development since last 2-3 years, and I have developed several projects upon it. So without further ado, let's get started. Can you all see this?
Yes, Abhishek.
Okay, thanks. So in the beginning, this is how we're gonna start our journey of web development via DSC. So before becoming a web developer, it is, I guess, equally important to know how does the internet actually work, right? So what is the internet? Like we use it every day. We spend a lot of time on it, but we don't know exactly what it is. Internet is a distributed network system. It is essentially a network of networks. By networks, I mean decentralized networks, which are spread all over the world, which have been put together by various means like satellites, sometimes, and most of the times the optical fiber cables that run through the sea and join the continents. So to explain it simply, how does the internet work? I'll take an example of visiting Wikipedia. So if I have to visit a Wikipedia website, first what will I need? I'll need a browser. Browser is an application which lets you interact with the web. It is a sort of compiler that compiles whatever we see on the internet. So in the browser, when we open it, as you can see, in the first, we see something like this, right? This is where something like this. This is called an web address. This is where this address we put in the address bar, and then hit enter, then it takes us to the Wikipedia page. So in this address, the first thing we can look at is the HTTPS thing. HTTPS stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now it's secure. S for secure. This is one of the transfer protocol. Its protocol means a set of rules through which we can exchange the information within two computers or within the network system. So this is for HTTP. So it adds this adds security, and the S is for latest addition, which stands for secure, which essentially means that with HTTP layer now you have secure sockets layer. So that's the S. So it adds extra security, and then this is called www. And www is essentially a host name that is the World Wide Web. As you all know, Wikipedia, here Wikipedia means the domain name actually, and this .org thing is called top level domain. A top level domain means a domain which is very essential and which stores the subdomains. Okay, this .org only is called top level domain, and Wikipedia.org is called authorized domain. So this is the part. So when we enter this, what actually happens? So whenever we enter this thing, first thing it needs to check is whether this is a correct path or this actually exists or not. So to check that, it goes to DNS server system, Dns Lookup. DNS means document name system. So that this DNS thing, what it does is, if you have any idea about the devices, that every device that connects to internet has a specific IP address. So whenever we send something or hit enter, first thing it does is check for the DNS. What DNS does is essentially looks through its specific set of strings and figures out, finds out whether this wikipedia.org matches with any IP address registered. So once it matches that, it sends back the IP address of the server. So first we are here in the URPC section, then we move down to the DNS section, and then we come back to URPC back again. Now what it does, it forms a request. A request contains what the things we require from the web page. What do we require? The home page, because as you can see, after .org/ there is nothing. So it will obviously take you to the home page. So it requires home page. Now in a request, there are two things. One is called a header and one is called a body. So header contains the IP address of the server and IP address of the receiver, and plus the type of request. So as we can see that we want to receive data from the server. So the request type will be get type. There are various types. If you are if you are sending data, so suppose you are submitting a form, so the request type will be post. So that's the thing. Then it takes us to a middle layer, which I forgot to mention, called a modem. Modem does nothing else, just it converts the digital data into analog, so as to it is like easier for transportation. So after the modem, it comes to router. Now the different routers here represent different stages, or perhaps even different networks, because as you know that as I said, mentioned before, that internet is a network of networks. So it does not, the server may not necessarily be inside your network only. It may be in other network somewhere else, thousands of miles away usually. So to go to that, there are thousands of different routes, thousands of different paths available. So the router is something like a traffic manager, traffic hawaldar, you can say that. It figures out which route is best suitable for the next transmission, and the transmission of the request, and then it will accordingly send the data. So after passing through routers, one or two or as many as required, it finally reaches the server, where server sees the request, sees the address of the client, or the one who is requiring the information, and sends the data. Now when he sends the data, depending about the size of the response, so whenever he sends the data, he sends in the form of a response. Response maybe text data, images, or anything like that. So depending upon the type of response, or the size of the response especially, it converts the response into packages. So if a data is too small, then it can be only one package. I don't have necessary idea about how big a package is, but essentially what it does, it breaks down things into packages to send. So the packets get sent back to the router's system and then made back to the PC. Now this is how the Wikipedia edits come back to us. Now if you to go it a little bit further, every different data type or the response, the content type has a different get request. So for the text content only, there will be a different get request. For the images, there will be a different get request. Even for different videos or different media sections, there will be different get requests. So if you have encountered sometime, you must have encountered sometime that whenever you click somewhere or try to open a website, initially it does is initially it shows a loading screen. So that will be the first get request. Then it shows the text file only. Then comes the media files. So this is how the get requests are layered. So that's how basically internet works. So I hope you have a general idea of how internet works. So everything we do is an exchange of information. So this is how information is done. So to break down these things, to actually manipulate the data, what is required, all these things are done by the website and sometimes the cookie and the browser itself. So this is how the website, the internet basically works. So now now when the response comes back, it has to be in some readable format. As you know that the language of the electronics is in ones and zeros. So the transmission and the transmission takes place in the form of ones and zeros. So it should be human readable format. You know, the data that we send and receive, it should be in human readable format. So to do so, the web pages take help of something called HTML or Hypertext Markup Language. It is just another markup language. You also might have heard about the HTML, but let me clear you one thing. HTML is not a programming language, it's a markup language. A programming language can program things, can function some things, like, you know, but a markup language adds structure. It is something which adds a structure to a document. So to a HTML document or a web document or a web page, to add a structure, we use HTML. Okay, so before we move ahead with HTML, just let me just 1 second. Okay, can you see this the whole screen right now, Akash?
Yes, Abhishek.
Okay. So what I want to do is go to slido.com or scan this over your phone and enter this 10171 code into the slido.com page, and please vote on your favorite browsers. It's nice. We have now Opera in lead, Firefox coming in, Chrome actually is in lead. Now I guess there is equal fight between Firefox and Opera. Now Chrome is back in. I think everyone loves Chrome right now. If you have seen things like that, because Chrome is something which consumes a lot of battery, and because it consumes a lot of storage and RAM to perform well, so sometimes if you are on low battery and still want to use internet, try choosing Edge browser on Windows. And Edge browser is something lightweight. Is obviously built on Chromium, but still it's lightweight, takes less space and less energy, and it will make larger. So according to me, by far the most amount of battery is consumed by the Chrome browser only. And Firefox is the second one. Like, there is a comparison, but Firefox is a little bit lower in consuming energy and battery, but it's not that less as Edge browser. So Edge is one good option for like just surfing things, you know? And if you're like a developer, I would recommend you to use Firefox, because it has some perks. Like if you're debugging, it will be helpful because it does like good action. Like, it has some good tools. Okay, so I guess 21 responses I have in right now by far. Okay, all right. So I can safely say that Chrome is by far the most like used browser among the visitors. So now comes a thing called as web development, because now you have understood how the web works, but you want to actually be a part of the web. You know, you want to develop something, you want to make something actually real life that we can actually make that can actually help people do things, you know. So to do web development, there are tons of different technologies, various technologies. So to name a few, here are some of the technologies. See, there are various things: HTML, CSS, JS, Java, Ruby, Angular, Node, Perl, Python, PHP, jQuery, .NET. There are tons of different options to choose from, but everything lies like comes down to three things: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because these are the basic building blocks of the internet, which gives with which we can create presentable documents and uh, make it more approachable and easy to read, easy to operate upon. So these are the three things we are going to focus upon: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. In the futures sessions, we are obviously going to think about various JavaScript libraries and frameworks. If you have like seen, if you know that there are various things like React and Angular and Vue. So these things we are gonna create. We're gonna talk upon. We're gonna discuss, and that will be a later
Abhishek,
time. But the first thing is,
hello.
yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but some of the students are having some doubts, I guess. So could you guide them on where they can put their questions or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah. In Slido.com, I guess there is a doubt section too.
Uh, can you show them the code once again so that they can put up their questions there?
Yeah, yeah. See, uh, in the participant, so suppose uh, in the Q&A, see, if you can see that this, if you are opening even a mobile or in a phone, this is where you poll, give your opinions upon poll, and this is where you can post a questions. So if you have any doubts, post it here. We'll keep like we'll try to answer the question which we know answers but okay. uh, Sorry about that. So now back to the presentation. Now, as we have seen various technologies of internet, the how the web works and all these things, let's come back to the basics: HTML, CSS, and JS. First things first, HTML. What is HTML?
Abhishek,
Yes.
there's some background sound from your end, I guess.
I don't hear anything. I guess someone else is doing it because
Uh,
my place
let-
is pretty
Hello.
quiet.
yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, you can continue.
Sorry. What is HTML? What is it is the basic building block of the web. It adds meaning and structure to the web page, our HTML document to be perfect, to be precise. Mm, if you consider an analogy between human body and a web document, see, as our body has bones as a main structure of our human body, uh, just like that, there is HTML which adds structure and a specific layout and the way it is a basic form of the web page. So that's HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Hypertext in here means the links which are available, which can be put in the web page, because as you know that the web pages that are full of the links to be sent to be connected to the other web pages, right? So that's what the hypertext in the HTML stands for. Markup, as I told you, markup language. And let's move ahead. HTML tags. Okay, tags are the basic element of the HTML. these are the things with which you constitute a HTML web page. Consider as a Lego block, like with multiple Lego blocks put together, you create a structure out of it. So that's like its HTML tag is something like that. So basic syntax of a tag is a a thing, a name of a tag which is enclosed inside greater than and less than and greater than signs, which are also called as carets. So this is how the tag name is syntacted. So the first comes the less than sign, then the tag name, then a space, and then comes the name of the attribute. Attributes are the properties of a tag. The attributes are mentioned as a property name and a value, name and value pairs. There can be multiple attributes as possible. Then we close the greater than sign. Then inside this section, inside here, we put our data, whatever we want to enter, and then in the end, we close the tag name. That's how the tag name is. So there are various tags. So in the basics, the basic HTML page is constructed like this. The HTML in the first, because the tags are in the tags are constructed in such a way that one tag is put inside another tags. So it's kind of like a tree structure, one tag into another, into another, into another. So it kind of forms a hierarchy of tags. So in the beginning, there is a HTML to the outermost layer. See, HTML which encompasses the whole document. Then there are two main tags. These are head tag and the body tag. As you heard that in the request, there is a header and the body. Just like that, in the HTML page 2, there is a head and a body. Head contains the information regarding the web page. It can be meta document, it can be links to other pages or the CSS or other files, and some other file things like title. So title is something like that you see in the tab name. So that's the title. And then in the body, where all the things we see in the web page are inside in the body tag. So this is how the basic body structure is, the HTML web structure is designed. Now the tags. So there are a lot of different tags available in the HTML. So the basic tags are if header tags, first header tags, they are labeled from H1 to H6, H1 being the highest and H6 being the lowest. Then comes the paragraph tag, it's like this for P for paragraph tags. IMG is for image. A is a link. A stands for anchor. It is a link. So with which we can link a particular text to something else. Right. Now for the list, there are OL, UL, and ELI. OL stands for ordered list, that is 1, 2, 3 ABC kind of thing. Then there is a UL things, which is kind of bullets or asterisks if you require. And then the LI is the list elements. Okay, so in the input is something which we take input from the user, the one who's viewing the website. So for that, we're gonna have a demonstration later. But later now, in the table, next comes the table tag, which is used for constructing the table. And then TH stands for table heading, TR for table row, and TD for table data. Okay, so this is how we with using this we construct HTML document. And also there are some other tags called articles, section, div tag, aside audio, and all these tags are also there. But these are the most basic things, and there are also a div tag too. Okay, so to take a look at how these things are formed, how these tags work, so let's take a demonstration look. First, this is a text editor, because in order to create a web page or anything, you need a text editor with which we can actually create a web, type some code and save it. So Codepen is an online text editor which we generally use to share our data, showcase it, tell it to someone else, or even contribute together. So this is the Codepen, so console over here. Now, first things, there is a called as H1 to H6 tags. As you can see, H1 is the highest and H6 is the lowest. If you have like doubt, like if you're confused between which one is the highest and which one is the lowest, you can just simply remember it as saying that highest one is H1 and then H6 is obviously the lowest one. So this is how H1 tags and from the 1 to 3, 4, 5, 6, their font size are reduced, right? So this is how the H1 tag works. Then comes the P tag. P stands for paragraph. What paragraph means? Yes, simple text with size, I guess, basic 16 for everyone, 16 pixels. So I do something like this. So this is how we write things in P tag. So if you have to write a long data, like create more long text, like paragraph things, you enclose it in the P tags. Now comes the lists. Okay, so in list, as I told you, there are two types, UL and OL. First, let's look at UL tags. So we open the UL tag, we then close it. So this is the basic structure, as you know. Then inside the UL tag, here we create LI tags. LI stands for list element, and in the LI, say name something, say Ram, then else. The typos, please. So see, in the unordered list, the by default things are li for say this is the bullet point. So by default is bullet point. Then the OL stands for ordered lists. So in the OL, if you space the same thing over here, see it takes as a 1, 2. That is ordered list, and that one is unordered list. That's the thing. Now let's look at the anchor tag. Say consider that I want to make this a hypertext. That means when you can click on it and you will be redirected to something else. So to do that, we do something like that. We first encompass it in the A tag, contain it. Then as I told you before, there is a thing called attributes, the class. So attributes to the tags. So it is not like that every attribute is applicable to every tag. Different, it's not like that. Okay, so there are different attributes for different types of tags. So for the A tag, href is the text. So href stands for hypertext reference. So href means the link, the destination, the source where we want our user to send to go whenever we click on it. So suppose I can paste my source here, and when I click over it, it goes down there. So if you have seen that it automatically adds up some styling to it. It's not like it cannot totally see it. There is some space around here. Whenever we see it, it is blue. There is underline. So these styles are added by the browser itself. Okay, so these are called default styles. We'll come to that later. So this is how an A tag works. Then suppose we want to import an image. Okay. So first things, we create an image tag. So one thing I forgot to mention, that not all the tags need to be say not all the tags need to be closed. So img tag is one of the tags which do not require a closing one. Okay, so src is another attribute of img tag, which stands for source of the image. It can also be the directory of your local folder. It can also be the link which I just copied. So if I say something like paste it like this, now you can see the image is inserted over in the web page. So this is how the img tag works. Then let's try an input tag. Okay, input tag is a little bit trickier. Okay, so as always, input tag, as similar to the img tag, does not have a closing bracket. Okay, so input tag has an attribute called a type. So because as you see, input tag does not necessarily have to be only one type of tag. We don't have to only. There are sometimes we select from many in the Slido. Suppose, let me take a look. Okay, right. In the poll, as you can see, there are different options to be selected from. This is called a radio button. So it lets you select between multiple options. So this is radio. This is one of the type of inputs, right? So there are all different types of input. So let's look at one of the type. So first we type and then the type of name. So by default, as you can see, this is the text. The default type is text, so here we can type anything. There are other types too. Suppose we can specifically mention it too, and there are some other types, say email type. Okay, email means it will take the input in the form of an email. And there is also another type called radio button. Radio, just type radio. See, this it creates a generatable radio button. So this is how the HTML tags work. These are in general. Now, as you can see, it looks a little bit boring, it looks dull. So to add a functionality into the web page, a styling to the web page, we need CSS. Okay, so CSS is called, let me go back to the slides. CSS is yet another technology that is a building block of the web. It is used to describe a web page. Just like HTML creates the structure for the web page, CSS creates a styling for the web page, which we can, like, it looks more layout proficient, looks good. It gives color, some position to the elements. So for that purpose, CSS is used. It's a style sheet. Okay, so in CSS there are different properties. These properties we apply to the tags on the web page, and then it gets reflected on the web browser. So the general syntax of the web page is proper CSS properties is property name, value, and there is a colon after that. So this is how we are. Now even if you generate something, create some properties like that, how are you gonna apply it? So in order to apply these various CSS properties, there are three ways. Mainly three ways. The first way to apply these things is using a style tag. Style attribute. So in the tag itself, we can type style, and in the parenthesis, in the quotations, we can write something like that. Say I want to give it a font size. So font size is one of the property. So I want to give it a font size of 30 pixel. So if I do that, see, the font size gets reflected on that. It gets, the font size is increased. Now it's 30 pixel. So this is how the font style works. Then another way of doing the same thing. See, let me copy this thing. Is using a class. Is using a class or ID or any kind of a selector. CSS selectors are generally the things with which we select the tags of the CSS, sorry, HTML. As you can see, there are various tags, so what if I wanna apply something particular CSS properties to the only h5 tag? So what will I do? I will create a class attribute and give it a name. Say I can give it a name like large. So this will be large. Now where to make use of it? It is in the head tag. In the head tag, you create a style tag inside that, and inside that you make use of the class. Now there are two things to be to keep in mind, that in class, whenever we write inside a style tag or even in external style sheet, we start from a dot. Okay, we start from a dot and then the name of the class. The name of the class is large, and then we create the curly brackets and we write text into the properties into it. So the properties will be, say, of the text, which is color. Color should be, suppose, red or something like this. The color will change. See, the color will change. Now this is how the CSS class works. Now there is one other selector called as ID selector. Now if you know that difference between class and ID is generally the classes can be applied to multiple tags, but ID can be applied to only one of the tags, because ID is unique and class can be applied to multiple tags. So see, if I do that, something, let's see, if I text over here too for the h4 tag, see, and now both have the red color. So this is how the class works. So we can create a class like this and we can go on applying to whichever tags we require. So it won't, like, it will be easier for us now. But the thing is, if I want to apply a specific tag, so if I want to reduce, see, make it even bigger like this, h1 tag, but I want to make it on, I want to make only this one bigger, I don't want to apply the styles to any other thing. So for that we use ID. ID is unique to every tag, as I told you. So similar like that, we create first an ID attribute. We equate with the name of the ID. Then the name should be, say, bigger. Okay, I name it bigger. Now to access this ID, we say initially hash. Just as for classes we use the dot, for the IDs we use hash. So in the hash, after that the name is bigger, and then after that I will be adding its properties. So font size, say 40 pixel, perhaps a border 1 pixel. So this is how the ID selector works. So these are not the only two IDs CSS selectors. There are various types of CSS selectors. Some are attribute type of attribute selector, and some are others. But I guess the only two things that we need to remember, but we use most of the times, is the ID and the class selectors. Okay, so now we know how to apply, but what to apply? What are the different CSS properties? So the different CSS properties are a border. Border is something like that, which creates a border around the tag you create or apply for. So if I say h1 tags has a border of, say, 1 pixel, it is strong, like it is solid, it is not dotted, and it has something like color that. So if I apply something like that in the bigger, for the h1 I am applying a border 2 pixel, then I want it to be solid, and then I want it to be fully. See, the border gets applied. So this is how the border thing goes. Now there is one thing I forgot to tell you. There are basically two types of tags. One tag is a block level tag and another tag is uh, inline tags that we call. So inline tags won't take this space as much as like this. Inline tag will only take space like this much only. It won't exceed that space. And h1, h6, h1 to h6 are inline tags. So this is why they occupy this much space, and that's why they give the border of like this. Okay, so that's the thing you should keep in mind. Now let's come to the another properties. First we saw the border, then the width and height. Obviously the width and height of the tag, it can be the container, it can be the image, video, anything like that. Then comes the color. In the color section, color usually means the color of the text. Okay, so it doesn't have to be, just a minute, I saw a typo. Okay. Okay, so color means the color of the text. Then the background color means the color of the background, and there are things called margin padding. So to explain margin padding, let's take a look at this thing. This is called CSS box model. CSS box model means something. It is the way which the margin, border, and padding and the content work together. Okay, so in the innermost level there is a content, right? So the content could be anything, it can be any type possible. Then there comes a padding. Okay, so between the content and the border there is thing called as padding. So padding is something like that, the area between the content and the border, and then comes the margin. Margin means the area with the area which the tag acquires, which is obviously outside the border. So to explain it better, let's take a look at the demonstration. So I have it. I have the h1 tag selected over here. Now I'm gonna add a padding. Say I add a padding of 20 pixel. Now, okay. See, there is some space between the border and there is and the actual content. The actual content is over here, and there is a space between. This space between the border and the actual content is padding. Now to explain the margin, let's try. See, as you can see that there has been a generation of space around the whole element. That is the margin. The margin is this the distance with which it separates itself from the other components. So that's called the margin. So these are some of the like basic properties of CSS. To explain it further, I'm gonna take a hands-on session for the a very basic web page called as my blog. So I have created it right before. So the basic, it is a very basic page where it has a name over here, and it is a button over here. Okay, it is a button. Then there is a heading, there is an image inclusion, there is a small name over here, and there is a dummy data. So how to create one? There is also one feature, uh, dark mode feature I have included in here. So if you click over here, it goes dark mode. So this is one cool feature which we are gonna implement today. So let's get started. Okay. First things first, I will create a new folder. And I will open it code. Now, if you are very new to this thing, this is called Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is just another text editor, but with steroids. it has a lot of different powers. It can do a lot of different things, and uh, it can help us create the code in a ease that we don't have to write everything from scratch. It helps us, gives us suggestions on that. You can download it for every type of operating system except Android, I guess, because for Linux, iOS, or Mac OS, or even on Windows right here, so it is available. So first we'll create a file called index.html. .html is required here because, as you can see, the extension denotes that the page is web page or HTML document. So this is that. So as I had told you that in the previous sections, like the first thing is we have HTML tag, then there comes the head tag inside it and the body tags inside it. That's the default structure or the boilerplate structure of the HTML. So we don't have to write that in this section. Sorry, in the Visual Studio Code, we have one shortcut. We take the apostrophe and then we hit tab, and voila. See, all the boilerplate structure is over here. So let me explain some things. The doc type HTML means that the page we are creating is generated using HTML5. That is the 5th version of HTML language. And then HTML tag. HTML tag has an attribute of lang. Lang means the language which we are going to use in this web page. There are multiple languages, as you know, but we are going to stick to the English language. So that's why the language equals to n, means the English language will be used here. In the head tag, there is a char set. These are default things. UTF is the, I guess, character set that we are going to use. That encoding character set, I guess. I don't really know about it, but and this thing means is for responsive web page, because as you can see, as you go in further, there is a thing called responsive web design. Responsive web design means the web page should look appropriate in all the screen sizes. It should look good on mobile and tablet and even on the laptop or in the bigger screen. So for that, this is one of the helpful tags called meta. Then comes the title. Title is a tab name that we see over there. So I'm going to simply write my blog title over here. So this is how we give the name to the web page. So this is the title. Now in the body, I'm gonna explain insert some things for our web page. So let's look at the web page finished product first. In the initial, there are two things. There is a name or a heading called as a h1 tag. Like it might be h1 or something like that, but there is a big name. Then there is a button over here, which is something like that. And then this is contained inside a section, right? So let me introduce you to the div tag, the tag which we're going to use a lot of times. So a div tag creates a division. Div tag is a block level element which creates a division around it. So let's create a div tag. So if I just type div and hit tab, it will like directly create a div tag for us. We don't have to type all these things everywhere. So this is how the div tab looks like. And inside that, what we're going to add is the name. See, the name, my blog, and the button. Okay, let's first write the name. Then there is another thing which I forgot to mention is span tag. Span tag is an inline element. Inline element means it takes only the space as much as its content. It does not expand to the whole viewport, right? So this is what span tag does. Now span and hit tab. This is how I'm gonna create the tabs from now on. So in the span tag, let's write the name a block. Right now, to bring this thing over here, this button, or some kind of icon over here, I'm gonna make use of a thing called a font awesome. Okay, font awesome is a icon library. Library which contains a lot of fonts or fonts and icons things which we can make use of. So the thing is, you go to font awesome. First thing, uh, you hit start for free. Okay, then start for the free, then you type name and create the UI kit. Okay, UI kit means something feature of this, you don't have to worry too much about it, but it's a UI kit, create a kit. So I have recently created kit. Once you create a kit, you get a thing like this script src like this. This is a content delivery network. So this is a CDN. CDN means content delivery network. This means that you don't have to download all the icons and make use of it in the web page. You will get it on the fly. That means it will show it. It will send data to it. So you copy the code here first, and then you paste it inside your head tag. As I told you that head tags contain the information and also the links to various other files. So I'll click over here. I'll paste this link which I copied, and this is how it looks like. Okay, so now to make use of it, there are different ways. So the icon which I'm going to use is called sun icon. So this is the sun icon that we're gonna use. So when you click on that, there comes a HTML tag. So just click on it, copy it, and paste it whenever you want. So it's most of the thing which we do on the web development is copy paste. So you will see a lot of people, and in me including, copying stuff from everywhere else and making use of it and like tweaking it the way we want. That's most of the time we web developers spend most of the time on doing these things, copy pasting, because initially you don't know all these things, how to create these things, how to do so to take help we just copy paste stuff. So see, this is how to now to explain how the font awesome works is it sends us an SVG document, scalable vector graphics. It basically means that no matter how you much expand it, it won't break or it won't like lose its crisp and clearness. So this is SVG, and then it makes use of an I tag. I tag is another element like alternative voice or something. It is one of the tags which it makes use of I tag. You can also use span tag too, and then it applies class to it. Class is FAS, FIR, FSN. Is a nomenclature for different types of icons. So FA is a font awesome. Then there is a R. R means it is a regular type of font. There are different nomenclature. You will get to know once you explore the font awesome much more. And then FSN means the name of the icon. Now, when I save this and let's try to open this web page. Now, when you run the debug and create the web pages, you make use of one thing called Rise server. You right click and Rise server, and it opens the web page. So this is my blog, the web page. As you can see, there is a thing called my blog text over here, and also there is an icon. See, it's very easy to include these icons. You just first include the link, and then there you add the HTML tags over there, and voila, you get your font tag. So that goes with the HTML, sorry, the header section of it, and then there is a structure called web development. Now I have decided to enclose the remaining section into another div, which will be like suitable for us to stylize later. So let's do that. Let's get out of this div and create another div tag. Now in the div tag, what are we gonna do? Just a minute. in the div tag, we're gonna add a heading. Heading is introduction to the web development. So we'll type that. Introduction to web development is the heading. Below that we have an image, img. Okay. So let me just grab the image link and paste it here. This is the image. Now, one thing is sometimes the image is too big or you don't have a network connection. So you might have seen that if an image doesn't come load properly, it shows a text, right? So this is the use of the alter alt attribute of the image tag. So it is like it is a good habit to put the name. So what is the name of the image? So image is the, say we can put it anything you want. So a laptop with code. So we can just put laptop with code illustration. So this is how we include an image, and then as you can see, there is a link. Okay, where do my ball go? This is a text or an a tag. So let's try to make this an a tag. Okay, what I want this to do is when I click on it, it will go back to, it will redirect to my LinkedIn account. Okay, so let's do that. What I'm gonna do, create an a tag. See, I typed a and hit tab and it will automatically generate it for. That's the benefit of it. So now in the href, I will add something like that. But initially, let me just add hash, because hash or slash perhaps is the de facto like default position of the href. Okay, so which we generally use. So in the tag, I will add my name, and let's take a look at how it looks like. As you can see, you don't have to reload the things every time. So that's the benefit of using a tag. Sorry, a live server. I guess, where did that thing? Yeah, right. See, now I also have a link over here which says Abhishek Ghadge, and it is stylized a little bit. Now let's come back to another thing. The text that is actually to be implemented here. So there are a bunch of paragraphs over there which are to be in, and let's for that let's create a p tag. For the content, let me show you something. Okay, now as you can see, the content over here is some rubbish, no, some dummy text. This is called dummy text. As you can see, it starts from lorem ipsum. Lorem ipsum was actually a language of us, I guess. It is generally used for a dummy text. So whenever we develop a project, initially we don't have any content for it, right? So we put something called dummy text over here. So this is the dummy text. To generate a dummy text, there is one option in the VS Code. You type lorem and then hit tab. Then it creates a one section of it, right? So like suppose like some, I guess it is one of the 2, 3 lines of the dummy text. You can just copy it and expand it or anything like that. Or alternatively, I have another option which I recently developed called a lorem ipsum generator. This is the website which I have developed using simple JavaScript, which lets you generate, lets you create all these dummy text of lorem ipsum. So you just have to enter the number of words you need. Suppose I need 200 words, so I hit enter. So this is my generation. So this, it will generate automatically the number of, say, all these things. So you click, you don't have to, you don't even have to like select it and then hit Control C. You just click on this copy to clipboard. It will show a message of successful copying, and then after copying, you just click here and hit Control V. And once you save
Abhishek,
it, yes,
Abhishek, you can
yes,
use emmet for lorem ipsum in VS Code itself.
yeah, right. Yeah, you can. I just first showed that then there is a emmet which like
Oh,
you
okay.
can, even if you hit lorem for that, you hit tab, it generates automatically the word. But I was just showing one of the thing I have developed, like you won't have to worry about how much page you need. You just click on it and like you visit this website and hit enter and get the word generated. I was just trying to showcase one of the JavaScript feature which I have recently implemented. Yes, there are multiple. There are also various other options. There are various websites of different types of dummy text. You can use that one too. Okay, so now let's just, as you can see, there are 3 paragraphs. Let's do one thing. Let's just copy and paste it for dummy text purpose. Now, how did I do that? Is you select the section you want to copy. You press Alt Shift and the down key. Press the down key. This is how you create copy the section downwards. This is one of the shortcut of the VS Code. So this is generated. Now let's take a look at it. Let's see how it looks like. So as you can see, we get 3 paragraphs and the content above it. So now what remains is the section below it, which is the subscribe heading, and there is the input tag, there is a button of subscribing, and there is a copyright button, the fancy one we just use, like, you know, to distinguish that it's work of mine or something like that. So for that, I'm gonna create another section called as footer, another division called footer. So let's get out of this tag. So as you can see, this is the first div, then there is a second div, and then this one is the third div. So you click this div and it automatically generates, obviously. And then inside that, what I have is the name, right? So I'm gonna make use of h3 tag. Inside that, I will type to my newsletter. Okay. Newsletter reminds me that our DSC DYPCOE also has a newsletter. If you are like, you know, if you use emails regularly, please subscribe to our newsletters. A lot of good people publish different technology blogs, and it's really helpful for everyone. So if you are like, you know, interested, please give it a go. So enough publicity. Let's next go to, there is an input tag. So I'll type something input. There is text. So inside that, I will just type it email. Email is just another type of input. Then I will, as you see, even before I have not entered anything, there is a thing called enter your email into it. But when I type something on it, it vanishes. So this is called as a placeholder. Placeholder is something which is by default over there. But as soon as you type something, it goes away. So placeholder, to make use of placeholder, you type placeholder. So placeholder is one of the attribute of the input tag, and type enter your email. So this is the placeholder thing. I guess we are done with the input tag. Let's move on to next one called as button. So this is the button tag using the red button, obviously, and then I will name it something called subscribe. I will put it on. So this is the subscribe. Now below that, I guess there is a tagline, something like that. Okay, so I will just create a p tag over here and add. So as you see, I have make use of a special character, that is copyright sign of it. But as you know that the our keyboard does not have that. So how to include these things? So there is a one option. You look for the thing in over internet or anywhere. You hit copy and paste. This is how it gets copied. And there is another also option is and copy using ASCII key for it. So that's the key for it. So you hit that key and then you type your name, that is mine. Okay. So I guess we have finished with the basic structure. So we have created a name, then there is a button, and then there is a heading, there is an image, there is a link, and then below that there are some paragraphs and the footer. So I guess this is the structure. Now let me take a look at it. Okay, so we can see that, but as you can see, it differs a lot from the final output and this. So to showcase that, to create like the similar design, let's make use of CSS. So I have shown you two types of CSS. One type is inline CSS, which is which I did it over here using style tag, style attribute. I'm sorry. You hit style and then color is suppose red, so something like that. So you add it. This is called inline styling. This is called styling using style tag, which is done inside head. And there is another one called external styling, which is most preferable one because external styling, it is only of CSS, so you can refer it properly, right? So to make use of external CSS, first I'll have to create a CSS file. So I'll go create a CSS file, styles.css. So make sure that you type the extension correctly. Styles.css is the extension. So you hit that one. And now to make link the CSS with our web page, we'll just go with link tag. Link tag is used to link different files, CSS files mainly. So you hit link, type link and hit tab. Hit on the relation means the relation of the relationship of the style, like what is the type of the file. So it is a style sheet, so like that, and then comes the reference of it. So what we do, it's hit dot slash. Dot slash means the current directory, and then we choose the among it. So our one is style.css. So this is how our style is linked. Okay, so first things first, let's save this one and move ahead. Let's move ahead with it. Now, as I told you before that no matter which page is it, the browser which we use adds some custom styling to the web page. Okay, so there are some custom stylings. If you see, I have not added any space between the name and the topmost side, right? Okay, so this is the space that has been added by the web browser itself. So to remove, we have to get rid of that. So to get rid of that, the space, if you now I have mentioned that there are different types of selectors. So this is one of the selector called tag selector. Okay, so this tag selector, what it does is selects all the tags which with the name HTML, but it is it it is preferred to use this HTML specific syntax for only for the tags which are used only once in the web page. Okay, so if you use this for div tag, then it will apply for all the divs, so it might not be suitable for you. So for that, you might wanna use it. Selecting multiple tags or multiple selectors at the same time. So to apply CSS to CSS properties, which are we going to be including in these brackets, for multiple CSS selectors, we just separate them with a comma. So that's how we do it. So for HTML tag and for body tag, I'm going to add some styles. So the styles are usually margin at 0 and padding as. Save it and let's take a look at it. See, as you can see, the page moved over the corner and now we don't have this extra space. So that's the benefit of that's why we use that. Now let's come to the other page. Now we have to add this styles to various different tags over here. Okay, so I don't think it's gonna be a best idea to use the inline CSS or even use this CSS using style tag. So the best thing we're gonna do is insert use the CSS which are gonna be putting into this external CSS file. So to make use of it, we have to add some selectors to these tags. So let's start adding these selectors. Okay, let's move on. Let's start adding the selectors. So for this div, I will add class. Okay. Let's add it a class of heading because that's the head of it. Then for the span, I will add some class of like name perhaps. Yeah, name will do. That's the class. And let's do one quick change about it. Let's change it. Let's add one other ID to it. Say IDB theme of it, because this button changes the theme, right? So let's add an ID to it. Let's see. There is one other thing we can also do. Let's try that one first, and we can use make it obviously. I'm gonna do one thing. I'm gonna hit button first and then hash. Hash means whatever comes after the hash is the ID of the tag itself. So I'm gonna add a tag theme to it and then date decided. So why I used ID over here and class not class is something a mystery for you. I'm gonna explain it later on. So let's leave it as it is. So this is our first div, right? So to add it, let's do one thing. Let's split it. So this is one other function of the one of the multiple functions of VS Code. We can like edit two codes at the same time. Okay, I'm not gonna edit two codes right here. I'm just gonna make use of it. So let me open this thing. Now I'm gonna select the heading tag. So how do we select it? We first hit dot and then type the name of it, and then we create the brackets. And in the brackets, I'm gonna add some stylings to it. Let's take a look at it. From the original, it looks big and it is over here, right? And it has some different background to it, default background, right? It has a different background, right? So let's do that. In the heading, I'm gonna give a background first, background which is this hash CCC. By the way, the hash CCC means it is hexadecimal colors. Okay, you can change it from here too. This is one of the feature of VS Code. Then the next style I'm gonna use is padding. As you have seen that it has a space between it, so I'm gonna use a padding over here. Padding is of it, say 20 pixel, and then I'm gonna move her to next. So if you see that class now as it is name called class as sorry, the span has the class name. So let's select that class name, and then inside that I'm gonna add some properties. So the properties are first font size. Font size should be something like 40 pixel, I guess. Yeah, 40 pixel. And then the font weight. Font weight means the like how bold do you want the font. Okay, so the I guess I want something 700. Now note that this does not have a unit like that. It is a without unit property. So if you have to, the default is 400, then you go on increasing it. So I'm gonna keep it 700. Then let's take a look at it. No, let's just add some properties to this button first. So first thing is selecting it. So how do we select it? We use hash and then the name, and then we click this. So we add some properties. So the first property we're gonna add is font size of it, because there is one thing I forgot to tell you. The sizing of width and height of these things, the tags the icons we get from font awesome, we can modify it as a text form. So for text, if you have to color it something else, we have use color property and give it a value. So similar to that, we're gonna use the same text properties to this icon property, icon 2. So I'm gonna add some font size, say 48 pixel, and then perhaps a background color. I guess let's try transparent, because as you see, it's transparent fully, So let's do that, and then as you see, it has a pointer over here. When we hover over it, there is a pointer. So let's try adding. So this property adds a pointer to the tag. Whenever we hover our mouse cursor over it, it generates a pointer over a hand over it, which indicates that it's clickable, right? So let's save it and let's take a look at it. I guess the control section is coming over it, so I'm not able to change the tab right now. Okay, so this is how the tab looks. Let me just take them over here. This is the first tab. Second tab. Okay, we are good to go. Now let me just see. As you can see, from the first, it has way too much space. Like it has too much space, and then this button has some kind of a border, something like that. So we have to remove that. So how are we going to do that? Using CSS. So one thing to note that this block level elements, h1, h6 tags, they have been added some default styling by the browser. To remove that, we're gonna have to specifically mention it to our website. Sorry, the code. So inside the code, what I'm gonna do is, first thing, for the heading, I'm going to add margin 0. This will nullify the margin and it will make it as we want. And then, sorry, it's inside the name. We are adding to the specific name, right? So that's that. And then inside that, what we want is get rid of it, and it has to be on the right side, right? So for that, first we add border to 0. So this removes the border, and then there is thing as float. Float is something like that. If you apply a property of float to the tag, it will change according to the value. It will change the layout of the element or the tag to somewhere else. Okay, so to do so, I'm gonna add it. As you can see, it's floating to right. So I'm gonna just do that, float to right. You cannot add the float property to every tag. Actually, there has to be some limitation. There are some restrictions upon where you can add it, but that's not the scope of this session right now. But I'm just gonna make use of it and let you know that if you want to use it, make sure you read some documentation before it. Okay, before you make use of it. So let's save it and let's take a look. See, now that it has been moved to the right and the thing looks pretty. Now there is one other convention I want to mention over here, that now what we are doing is we are adding just creating some selecting some tags only, sorry, classes of the tags, and then we also go ahead, then we just add the properties. Okay, so it is not one of the convention. The main convention is using say in this the first is this class, and there is a name, the span containing class name inside the heading, right? So to specify that this we want to apply properly properties to the span inside this heading only, we make use of something like this. We first add the parent node or the parent tag, and then we select the tag inside it, right? So that's how we do it. So so remember to do that, because suppose say I select something, some similar name. So suppose I create two tabs, sorry, two tags with classes name, but I want to specify only one. So what I will do, I will increase the specificity. So how do I increase the specificity of the CSS? By like mentioning its parent element only also. So we mention its parent element selector, then we mention that it's the element which we want to apply, and then we go on go down to the, go down hierarchically and until we reach the specific element. So this is how we do that. So that's one of the things. So I'm gonna do that too here too. So as you can see, heading theme button is inside the heading too. So I'm gonna just add the heading here too. So it's specifically mentioned that the name inside the heading only, the name not anywhere else. The name has to be inside a heading. Then and only then this styles will be applied to it. Okay, so that's one of the perks or one of the things you can like take care of, right? So that's that. So we have done with the first thing. Then for the second, so let's try start adding some tags, sorry, classes to this second. Then I'm gonna say something like that, class block content. Then in h1 I'm gonna add a class of say title, then image. Let's add an image class of image, I guess, only. Then there is a link. Let's add a class link. So I have added a class of link, and then there are some p tags, right? Okay, we are done with that. Look, let's add classes to all this. So once we are done with adding the classes, we can just make use of it without having to move from one to another. Now, as you can see, this is the bottom. You can, I'm gonna add it a class of footer. Alternatively, you can use footer inside of div. So it can also be something like this. Okay, so that's some little bit advanced HTML, but I'm not gonna go deeper into that. So let's keep it like that. Let's give it div footer. And then there is some h3 tag. I don't think we're gonna need to do something like that. Then there is a called input type, right? So for this, I'm gonna use another type, CSS selector, which I will explain. Then for the button, I'm gonna add a called class subscribe, and then the p tag I'm gonna add a signature. So class signature. So there we go. We have done with the HTML. Now we're gonna just add some styling to it. So for the styling, we're gonna first select the blog content tag. Sorry, blog content class. Inside the class, let me take a look at the final version. As you can see, inside this there is a space over here, and it is centralized properly, right? And let's do that. Okay, so in the block content class itself, I'm gonna add a max width. Max width is something like a maximum width. So if you see, sometimes suppose this one is a block level element, and you start extending the browser size indefinitely. So the size of this blog, the tag will go on increasing too. So if you want to limit that, the width of it, you have to use a thing called max width. So there we have max width, and there is a thing called margin. So now for margin and padding, there are 4 things you need to keep in mind. So okay, let me yeah. So there are 4 syntaxes, the 4 ways we can which can add margin. So one of the way is of adding a margin is just writing one value. One value means for all sides. That's how. So one value like. Okay, so is it not? Let me just. So to add margin to all the sides, you just make use of something called one value. Okay. Now, if you want to add to different slides, let me just do another trick. Say margin 20 pixel. So in this case, the first 20 pixel is for the top bottom, and if I even use 30 pixel is for the left right. So this is the way it goes: top bottom 30, left right. And if I add only all 4, so the way it goes like top, then right, then bottom, then left. So you have to mention top value, right value, bottom value, left value too. So this is a 3 ways which you can use margin or even padding. For the padding, there is same syntax. Just change the property name. So in our case, I'm gonna make use of something 2 values. So for 2 values, I'm gonna give it to 2. Top bottom I don't want any this, and auto. Auto does one thing. It centers this the content, or the centers the tag. So if you have width specified to the content or the tag, you can use margin 0 or 0 and auto this property to centralize the tag. Centralize the tag. So that's what I'm going to do. Now let's move on to the blog title. So first I'm going to select the parent tag, then I'm going to select the child tag. So what is the child tag? Title with class title, and then I'm gonna add some classes to it. The classes should be, first I'm gonna add a font size, say 50 pixel I guess, and then text align center. So you can guess the use of this text align center property. Obviously it centers the text inside it. So inside the title it will center it. So let's take a look. See, now it has been centralized. Right. Now let's select something img tag. So how we're going to do that? again the block parent, and then the child. We're gonna add some styles to that. Some styles are gonna be first. I want to align it center. Now text align center is something universal, so you can use text align center to centralize the images to even text to or even icons, anything which you want. Okay, so that's the thing. Text align center first, and then I'm gonna give it a width of 100%. Now 100% here means 100% of its container. So as you can see, its container is block content, so it will take the width of its block, sorry, the parent element, that is block content. It will have a value of 1140 as we have mentioned over here. Okay, so then I'm gonna add some height to it because default height is work for me, so I'm gonna add a height to it. So this is the height. Now as you can see, it has the height of its parent and it is like 1600 pixels. Now for the link, I'm gonna select first the block content, and then again the link tag, which selects the A tag, as you can see over here. So for this, I'm gonna add a font size of, I guess, 30 pixel, perhaps. Yeah, 30 pixel will do. So 30 pixel looks nice. Now below that we have p tags, right? So I'm gonna make use of the tag selector, tag Css selector. So first we add the parent and the selector of parent class, and then we add selector of the child class. For the selector, what are we gonna use? The tag of it. So the tag would be p. As you can see, I'm using this for, there are 3 p tags, so I'm not gonna go adding these things classes for everyone and then mention it over here. The easy way of doing it is using this thing. So for the p, I'm just gonna increase its size. Font size say 20 pixels, so I guess that would do. Okay, so 20 pixel. Now let's save it and take a look at it. So it has big and it looks, this text looks big too. So this contains, and the block content is finished for CSS. Now we're gonna move on to the footer tag. So what are we gonna do? First thing, select the footer tag. Okay, footer tag is footer. Then in the footer inside, what do we have here? Let me take a look. Now, as you see, it is center too, right? And it is in align with the division above here. So I'm gonna do one thing. I'm just gonna copy the styles of it. So what are the styles of the block content? It's these things. I'm gonna copy it and paste it over here. Alternatively, you can just add the class over here, like footer space heading. That will also add these styles to it, but it doesn't resonate with this, footer and heading. They have to be separate, so I'm not gonna do that. So let's add the footer, some styles, and then inside this I'm gonna select the h3. So for that I'm just gonna use tag selector. Inside that I'm just gonna increase the font size of it. What it for 30 pixels. Let's do that. Yeah, one thing I forgot to tell, even though H1 to H6 comes with some de facto stylings, you can also always increase their sizes no matter how much you want. Okay, so there is no limit or that restriction over you cannot increase the size of H1, H6. It's not like that. You can do anything. So now done that, now we're gonna go to the input type, right? So this input, so I'm gonna do something like this, dot footer, then take the input. But suppose I'm gonna consider a situation that I have multiple inputs over here. So how do I select a particular input? So there is a one trick up my sleeves. It is called attribute selector. So this input tag has an attribute of email. So I'm just gonna copy it and paste it over it. This acts as a CSS selector. So in this way, we have selected the input tag. I'm just gonna add a font size to it. So it looks like whenever we type in it, it looks a little bit readable. So this goes the font size. Now let's come to the button. Now in the button, as you can see, there is a background color red. So I'm gonna get its background red first. So FF0000. This is the hex code for background color, red color. Sorry. Then I'm gonna have it of some font size of it, say 16 pixel, and then some color, because the default color is as black, but we don't want that. We want a white color, and inside that I'm gonna add some padding to it because it looks a little bit better with padding. So let's do that. So that's the subscribe button. What remains is the signature, right? So let's just take a look at it first. Okay, this tag, this thing. So now we have these things, but the thing is there is a border over here, right? As you can see, it's getting darker over there, but we don't want that. So how do I remove it? I just enter a border 0 pixel. Now plus the things are, it is not in center, right? So I'm gonna have to do that too. So let's do that. For the first, it has to be in center. So what I'm gonna do, text align center. So text align center centers the content inside the tag. Okay, remember that. Text align center does not work for a tag, individual tag, but the content inside the tag. So that's that. And then the subscribe, inside that I'm gonna just border 0 pixel. Let's have a look. Okay, it looks nice. Now that it looks, it's resonating with us. Here I forgot to add an anchor class, anchor tag, but that's okay. So now here, here I'm gonna add my link. So I'm just gonna go over here and type in my link. www.linkedin.com/in/ab. I guess, let me just take a look. Yeah. Now it's gonna look like. Now I'm gonna just take a look at it. So as you can see in the bottom, there is some link over it. So it means that it's working. So let's open it. So I guess it's working. So see, like this. Yeah, it's working. So our basic structure is done. We need to do, we have to add a functionality. Whenever we click over it, it turns into dark mode, like this mode. So how do we do that? This is where the JS comes in picture. Let me skip ahead to. Okay, JavaScript is the building block of the web, one of the 3 building blocks of the web. It adds interactivity, liveliness, and essentially soul to the web page. With JavaScript, we can interact with the web page, let user interact with it, do a lot of stuff, including taking input or even adding custom HTML, CSS you can do with JavaScript. That too, there are a lot of things with JavaScript you can do. For this, we're just gonna stick to some basic things of it. Just keep in mind that JavaScript is just another programming language. It's like C, C++, but instead it is a little bit safe language. It does not have access to our PC memory. Instead, it works on the web memory. So the web browser cache memory. So keep in mind that. So now let's move ahead. Now there is one thing, as we have seen that C language, C sharp, other languages have some specific libraries with which they interact with the internet, right? So similar to that, JavaScript also has an interface. It's not a library, called an interface called document object model. So what is document object model? Document object model is a model which is created by the web browser itself whenever it receives a web page. So whenever a web browser receives a web page from server, it gets it and then it creates a document object model. So document object model is a tree of the things. So if I give you information, I had to include this image, but I forgot it. So this is how the image document model looks like. It's a mostly tree in which the browser converts the web page into its root elements. So the first root element would be the document, then there's a root element, then it branches out to head and body, then it branches out down to the different tags, their attributes, their text. So everything gets converted into its specific nodes which we can interact with. Okay, so that's how the JavaScript interact with web page. So let's take a look at JavaScript for our web page. So what we actually want is whenever we click on this thing, we need to change like its properties to dark it. So let's do that. First things first. In order to do things, we'll have to select some things, right? So let me do one thing. I will add the styles to be added to the web page in JavaScript. I will create some classes over here, which we have to add over here. So for the dark mode, first I'm gonna add a class dark. Okay, wherein the color of all the elements are white, and then it has a background color which is slightly grayish. It is a bit, which is an exactly black, So the number of the color is this, and I'm gonna create another for the heading, because as you can see the heading has a different background, right? So for that I'm gonna add another class which the color will remain white, obviously, and the background color is a little bit fainter. So what it is, 3D, 3F, okay, 3D, 3 and F. So this is the background color. So I have created them, but I have not used them right yet. Okay, so what actually we want is whenever we click on it, these classes should be added here. So suppose this class, the body, for the body, what I want, whenever I click on it, it should have a class like this, and when I click again on it, it should remove this class too. So this is how we're gonna function it. So to implement JavaScript, there are two options. You can obviously create some script. So to create the scripts, we need to create script tags. You can directly write script like the JavaScript code over here too, and also alternatively you can create external pages and link them here as like this / and another file where you have stored it, and please remember that the extension is .js. So this is how the script looks like. And now let's try and add it script. Now as you had seen that to apply Css properties in the web page, we have added some selectors to it, right? We have selected those tags and then applied to it. So for even to do that, we are gonna add some selectors to it. So I'm just gonna create a simple web page, simple variable over here. So say variable, this is a syntax, var for variable. It does not require any data type, and unlike C, C++, we just have to type var. So I'm gonna name it toggle button. Toggle button equals to, now we have to select it. So what I told you first, the first is document element, right? And then we get to select the others. Then there are some others below it. So first we have to type document, then dot, then we have to apply a property, sorry, a method of JavaScript. Okay, there is an inbuilt method called as query selector. With query selector, you can select any type of element, which query selector, with which you can use CSS selectors for selecting the things in JavaScript. So in CSS we have multiple types like tag selector. So I can use h3 here too. I can even use dot something like footer. So this means I have selected all the elements with class footer, and the dot for the class, like that. So for the purpose of this, we're gonna select the one, this button with ID theme. So for ID, as you know, we have used hash and then the name. So this way we select this button in JavaScript. Then we want to change the uh, content, right? So let's take a look at it. So we need to make changes into the body tag and the heading tag, right? So for body tag, what we can do is just type document.body. This document.body selects the body tag, so we don't need to store it specifically into any variable, but we need to store the heading, the reference for the heading tag, right? So what are we gonna do? Create var heading. This is variable heading, then equals obviously document, the root node, then the query selector method, and with which dot heading. So it has selected all the elements which has class heading. That is the only one which we have actually right here now. So now inside the web page, as we can see, we perform a function or an interaction with the web page. What we do, we click on it, right? So this is an event in JavaScript. Is recorded as an event. So there are various types of event. Suppose hovering over any element. So on mouse over, right? On mouse down, key up down, and click or wait. There are different. These are different types of event that are present in JavaScript. So for our one, we are going to use click event. So how do we make use of a click event? So let's take a look at it. So what we have is toggle button selected. So we first type the toggle button, its name, then we add dot, that is to perform some method on it. So what the method is, add event listener. So what it does is it selects the button, and whenever a particular given event happens on it, it will listen to it. Okay, so now what type of event we want? It takes two properties, the event and the function. So the event what event we want? We want a click event because we are clicking on it, and then a function. So function in JavaScript is much similar to C or C++. So in function, click this. So this is an anonymous function. We don't need to name it anything. So this is how we create this. So in here, the toggle button, on toggle button, there is an event listener added, which listen to click event only, and on it is like when the event takes place, it executes the code inside this function tag. Okay, so inside the function, what we want is to change the toggle the class, toggle the class of this body tag. So how do we do that? As I told you, select the root element, that is document, which beneath which we have body, right? And there is another property called class list. Class list gives us all the list of the classes which are present on the on the tag itself. So dot class list will give list of all the tags that are present on the body tag. So that's not, but as actually doesn't have one. That's the case. Now what we want to do is see if first I click, it gets dark. Then I click back, it gets again white. So it gets light mode. So it toggles the theme, right? It toggles the classes. So what we want is not to add classes, but to toggle them, add and remove, add and remove, add and remove at alternative clicks. So to do that, we have a property or a method called toggle. So what we want to toggle inside here, a class, right? So inside the classlet we want to toggle we have to add the class names now. Now as we have mentioned class here specifically, we don't have to add any dot or hash, that is selector. We don't have to add any selector, just have to add the name of it. So what we have added, the name is dark. So the name dark, done. And inside it I'm gonna get the heading again. Then what we want to do, class list, then what we want to do, dark 2, because dark 2 is the different background, so that's why we have created dark 2. So what it does is whenever the toggle button is clicked, yeah, see toggle button clicked, then it execute this function. What this function is, toggle the class lists. So what toggle exactly is, if there is a class inside this body for the body tag called dark, then it won't do anything. But if there is no class, it will add it, and if there is one, it will remove it. So it's like that. So let's take a look at it first. So whenever we click on it, it's not working. See, it gets dark, right? Now the function is working. Whenever you click on it, it gets dark. Now let me show you actually. If you press Ctrl+Shift+I in the web browser, you will see like the code and various things. This is called the console. This is what we use to debug the things. Now let's take a look at it. Now pay attention to this. Okay, initially it does not have any class, but when I click on it, the class gets added to this one and this one. And then again click on it, class gets removed. That's the functionality of toggle. If there is one, it will remove it. If there is none, it will add it. Okay, so that's it. So this is the one. Now as you can see, this one is not getting white as it should get white, right? So to do so, I'm just gonna select the toggle button, again the class list, and then toggle. Right. Let's take a look again. Yeah, it's working. So it's working now. Now we have successfully replicated the web page, and it looks exactly the same. Right? It's proper. Now we have implemented everything. Now it actually, now I guess from this, I hope you have gotten a basic idea of how HTML, CSS, and JS work together to form a web page. Okay, so if you have any query, please put up in the wall.io.slido. Okay, so let me check. Oh, okay. There are a lot of questions. I'm sorry, I did not check it, but okay. So what is inline CSS? Inline CSS is CSS which we add inside the tag. So it is annoying. So Mr. Anonymous, the CSS is something which we add. See, inside this we are adding CSS in the class itself. Sorry, in the tag itself. So that is called inline CSS. And if you have to add a multiple, we just have to put colon on it and then type the next one. So if I add some font size. Okay. Font size say 30 pixel. If I add it, it will turn its font size to, see, the font size has changed. So this is how we implement the inline Css. So another one, I'm gonna, which one, the question is, what is a live server? Live server is something which is local server for now in here, with which we don't have to reload the page every time we make changes. It makes changes without us reloading it. So that's the functionality of live server. So if you don't want to use live server, what you can do is go to your file wherever it is located and then open it, right? You click on it and then it gets open. But every time here, whenever you make changes, you have to reload the pages. So that's the problem. So you don't want to reload every time, you know. So it has to be hot loaded. That's the main terminology. Hot loading means that the page loads without you having to reload it. It reloads automatically. So that's the thing. How to download VS Code? Okay, VS Code is one of the most famous text editor. I will put up a link over here. Okay, so you can go over here and download it. I'm just gonna put one in the text. Okay, replies over here, so you can just check it out, or you can just Google search. Okay, so that settles it. And there are various things. I will later, if you later on, I will put it in the group, our WhatsApp group, like how to set up your VS Code. Okay, so that's one thing. Can you show me the learning path of web development? My friend, I have written a whole web development. Just let me medium. As I told you, DSC DYPCOE has a newsletter on Medium where we publish a lot of documents, nice documents. So this is the document which I have written. You should give a look at it, have a look at it. It is recently written, so you don't have to worry about like it's too old for that. So I have given detailed path about how to develop, like go into web development. Okay, it's fully detailed with all these different resources available. Okay, so I have like told you everything. So this playlist, resources, everything has been explained in this page. So I will just put up a link over here. So go check it out. It's really good. Okay. Now another one. How to make a website mobile friendly? Okay, mobile friendly website means the website has to like you know to make it mobile. To make a website mobile friendly means the website looks good on mobile too, on laptop too. So to do so, there is a thing called responsive website development. Okay, responsive website design. I cannot. I like. It's a little bit harder thing to do. Basically, what you do, I will just give you a brief example. So there is a thing called media query. So media, you say @media, and then you specify the viewport size. Okay, so viewport sizes should be something like max width. Suppose viewport width should be something like 592 pixels. So that's something for the mobiles. So you do that and you write your code inside that. So for the mobile, it will apply this, and for the normal size, it will apply this code. So that's how you do it. For further, refer to Free Code Camp. Free Code Camp is the best place where you can learn website design. So that's the thing. This is the dynamic website study. So that's the dynamic websites. Okay, so give a go at Free Code Camp. It's a really good place where you can say that. So another thing is framework. Okay, so this question, like what is framework, what is thing, everything has been detailed. Like I have explained it in detail everywhere in this tool. So as you can see, a framework you can develop is an application. like it's a set of rules with which you can develop an application without having to write a code a lot of times. Okay, so consider like that. So like instead of creating everything from scratch, you just do something, uh, hit some keywords, and then all the things get worked upon you. Like everything, you don't have to write everything. You just have to write some keywords and it works. So that's the framework. Okay, so there is there are a lot of information I have put it in the article. Have a look at it, please. Then how can I learn backend development? I have put the answer into that too. So basically, to summarize how to learn anything, first things I will give you a basic idea of it. First, you have to learn HTML, CSS, and JS. Then you move ahead with JavaScript, and then you solid your JavaScript, and then you move ahead with Node.js. That is for Node.js is a runtime environment with which you can operate on various frameworks. Okay, so that's the framework, and then after that you go into various different things like uh, databases or the backend framework, different backend frameworks, the business logics, the routing. That part is like it's in the backend development. So everything I have put in the article. Have a go. That will actually benefit you. Okay. Uh, and I guess there are no more questions right now. So I hope I can stop here right now.
Yes, Abhishek.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah, so we can conclude today's session and we meet for the next session. The next session will be announced soon and you'll be notified for the same on our WhatsApp group. So till then, have a great evening ahead. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
Hello, sir. I have not joined your WhatsApp group.
Okay. I will. Akash, do you have a link to it?
Uh, yeah, I'll share with you. Uh, just a minute. Abhishek, till
Yeah.
then, can you guide the students for our community platform, like how to join there and all this?
Okay.
Can you
Okay.
show
Sure.
them
Sure. Sure.
quickly?
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, Let me just. Okay. So we have two things. We have our website on DSC Community Day. So this is the DSC's official place where we have our account sort of thing, where you can just you know let me switch again for that. Hmm. Okay, I guess you can see that right now. So this is our developer student club's web page. So this is sorry, the official account. I will paste a link. This is where you have to go and join us. So after joining us, you will receive emails about our new events, some changes we do, some fun events we organize, everything about it. Okay, so this is the thing. So these are the things. These are the sessions we conducted. You will also get, I guess, uh, it took place yet. So I don't think I like there is available, but surely you have various. We are gonna put this sessions on online. Okay, so keep an eye on that. That's the thing. And there is also our website, which is in the WhatsApp group description. Check it out.
So how to grab a link from we have pasted in
Just copy
Teams?
it. They're not going to
No,
copy it,
sir.
okay?
Okay.
How to see
Uh,
from there?
I guess the chat window is not accessible, so you can go to the Q&A section. I posted the link there too. So Abhishek, can you just share the code once again, the slider code, so that
Yeah. So Slido code is 10171. Okay.
okay. So just go there on slider.com and put that code, and you'll find the link there, and you can join there.
Yeah, we both have put things.